and your local SuperTalk Mississippi radio station. And don't forget about watching us, which you can do on your computer or your mobile device. Just head on over to SuperTalk TV. You may have heard recently in the headlines that the largest gift to the University of Mississippi Medical Center, UMMC, was just recently given by John and Sandy Black. Well, joining us today are some that are going to be charged to putting that into good use. And joining us is Dr. Rocconi. He's an oncologist, and Lauren Engle with the Office of Development there at UMMC. And so welcome, guys.
Yeah. Thanks for having us.
I didn't want to say $25 million. I'll let one of you guys sort of say it. And Dr. Rocconi, you can take it first. When did you get word that maybe this isn't something someone wakes up one day and says, hey, I'm going to, do this. This has had to have been long in the talks and the works. So how long has this gift kind of been in the shadows of coming to fruition?
Yeah, it's a great question. Obviously, it takes relationships and building relationships and trust. Lauren does a great job heading up our development team for cancer, and but even beyond here in Jackson. The Black family, they've had a great relationship with our chancellor, in Oxford, and Chancellor Boyce, who's had a great relationship with them, without talking too much about things, kind of, greased the skids a little bit to where they were really interested in what we were doing and why. And they were primed and ready, wouldn't you say, Lauren, from our first meeting with them even. So
finding individuals like this, too, takes, as you mentioned, building relationships, but also being able to share the story and the vision. Someone's just not going to write a check for that kind of cash or make that kind of commitment without understanding that UMMC and partners have put lots of thought into where all of this is sort of going. What vision did you present to not just you, but UMMC, you, Lauren, all by yourself, present to the Blacks in terms of where that money could be best spent?
Sure. So, obviously Sandy and John are extraordinary philanthropists, but their giving goes beyond generosity. We're so grateful that Sandy and John share in the vision of ensuring that all Mississippians can get the best cancer care here in Mississippi without having to leave the state. And that's what this campaign is really about, is building a world-class cancer facility with research and care and education all under one roof to give access to Mississippians the best care possible.
Dr. Rocconi, what does it mean to someone who hears those terrible words, you have cancer, and then recognizing they may have to travel out of state or just a couple hours or, to receive the necessary treatment? What difference does it make when you can have less than an hour drive or, within your own state be able to receive that kind of care?
Yeah, it's a silly analogy, but I like sleeping in my own bed. I assume that most people like sleeping in their own bed. And I think regardless of what you do, the time it takes just going back and forth to multiple doctors, multiple visits, treatments, whether it's radiation or infusions, there's a lot of time taken out doing those things. And I think when you compound that by, having to go out of state, where now you're talking about, instead of a short drive around the corner, maybe within an hour, in Mississippi, but, you take travel by plane, going to other states and other places. That's a lot of missed events. That's a lot of life events that patients are not home for. And we kind of say home is where the hope is. Mm-hmm. And so there's always people who can go to other places, and we're not trying to take away their rights for that, but we do want to present another option closer to home that can provide the same level of care, provide the same type of clinical trials, for cancer care. And then there's also patients who can't travel,
right?
And we still have that same moral imperative to make sure they have the same care, here at home.
I was just going to say, not a good thing, but some folks can't do that, and so if it's not within, makes sense for them locally, then it just sometimes is, we want to provide better outcomes for everybody. So
Absolutely.
So when did you get the word, Lauren? Because this seems like winning kind of like the lottery in terms of helping your vision and campaigns. How did this all come about to finally be able to let out into the world?
Sure. So as Dr. Rocconi referenced, this is something that has been in the works for what we would say decades, going back to Dr. Dan Jones, Dr. Jimmy Keaton, who were both vice chancellors at UMMC, creating goodwill and strong relationships with John and Sandy. They love UMMC. They see all of the amazing health care that happens on the campus and beyond the campus. When we we knew that when John and Sandy, we've been trying to get them to come in to hear about this vision, because we're sharing this vision with community leaders right now. We're talking to business leaders, we're talking to politicians. We're making sure that everyone hears about this project during this early stage. So we've been trying to get them in, and we knew that when they were ready to come in, that they were ready to talk about a number. So it happened pretty quickly. Once they were able to come in, they were committed to this project, and they really saw the vision and saw that this spoke beyond what they would probably even see in their lifetime, that this meant for their children, their grandchildren, and even generations beyond that.
So let's talk about the vision. So obviously, Dr. Rocconi, you had mentioned sort of a building. I'm thinking of something, like literally just a building. But is this more like going statewide? Is it more all-inclusive? Like, what is the overall vision that this will help sort of start and transpire into?
Yeah, there is the building.
Yeah.
I mean, that's what our capital campaign is for. But it's a very purposeful space, and I think everything we do, every small decision, has to be through the lens of what is best for the patient. Kind of a side lens, or the other lens we have to look through, is what would National Cancer Institute want to see in regards to what we're providing for our patients. And that is the best possible clinical care for people with cancer, as well as their caregivers. The caregiver is also an important part of this for our patients in that network of care. And so the vision is, truly to create a healthier Mississippi for our cancer patients. We want to enhance, cancer care in the SIP, and it goes beyond just, us here in Jackson. We do have to make sure we're getting programs for people across the state, whether it's educational programs so they can learn more about their diagnosis, learn more about, hey, what is a clinical trial? What does it mean? How does it benefit me? And then, we have our community partners as well. And I always try to mention, those cancer folks, most of which who trained here at UMMC are across the state and are on the front lines. And have a lot of respect for what they're doing. And so I've been going around the state meeting with each group and asking them, hey, what do you need? What can we do better for you so you can provide the best care for our patients, whether that's clinical trials and having, options for their patients to maybe travel to Jackson to get some of these early phase, first, in-human type trials, or educational activities and shared activities as well. So you're exactly right that this goes well beyond, just UMMC. Our goal is to help and assist with any cancer patient in our state to ensure they get the best care.
And then when it comes to research, you get to share that. I mean, that's one of the things that makes St. Jude so great is once they learn something, they're not holding on to it. I mean, they're giving it back. And UMC is definitely the same way. When they find out things, they share it. And that's what gets everyone better and moving the needle forward in cancer care. But there is a building, Lauren. So where will it be?
Well, right now,
potentially,
right now we're looking at across from the main entrance of the hospital, across State Street, right where the Backyard Burger is. If you're familiar with the property, where the large parking lot is, it's in really close proximity to the Hope Lodge, which is really exciting for us because the Hope Lodge is a place where people can come and stay when they're outside of Jackson, and it gives them, a place to stay overnight and really easy access to the new cancer center.
That was the American Cancer Society worked very diligently in getting that done.
That's exactly right.
Well, that was a perfect location in terms of pairing those sort of two together. And it sounds like this is just the tip of the iceberg in terms of what it can do. Dr. Rocconi, obviously, if someone gets that news, they don't have to wait for the new building. In terms of cancer care at UMMC now, what should folks know, or how can they go to learn more information or think of UMMC if they hear those words? Yeah,
you're exactly right. I mean, we've got a group of excellent physicians who are taking care of cancer, whether it's radiation, chemotherapy, surgical interventions. Being the only academic center in the state, we do a lot of the quote-unquote onlys. We're the only people that have bone marrow transplant, the only people that do certain types of surgeries for advanced surgeries for patients with cancer. And so, I think there's multiple ways to get a hold of us, whether it's through the phone, the internet at umc.edu, and multiple ways to find us. So.
Lauren, you going to come back when there's a groundbreaking?
Yes, we would love to if you'll have us.
Absolutely. I think this is great. We'll keep up with this story. This is just the start of it. So I appreciate you guys' time today.
No, thanks for having us.
Thank you.
All right, you stick with us. We got more for you coming up next.